Hey, it's Kevin Koym. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Venture Outfitter. We have had some technical difficulties this morning, and so I'm kind of bummed because I've always learned something from more Neville Thomas about productivity, but today we're not going to be doing that. And so, welcome to the Venture Outfitter. We're here to actually help you work with your companies. A part of our role at TechRanch is to discover talent, develop talent, connect talent to opportunity, and help it scale. And we have a bunch of different types of programs that we do. Today's program is to have one of our experts, who I have known for about 15 years. Because there were problems, we're going to have her come back. We're going to make sure we get everything published in the right way. We might actually have a special class because part of what she asked is if there was like a small group that we could actually work with versus having something wide published. So if you're interested in the topic today and you got bumped when we had to restart the Zoom because of the technical difficulty, make sure you let us know because we're probably going to have like a closed session that we won't be publishing out to YouTube as well as to LinkedIn. It'll probably be a closed session for that specific program. Um, Thank you to our partners at DuoWorks. They have sponsored Tech Ranch for many years. Linda Blackman, who runs DuoWorks, one of the partners, she was in Venture Force 17 years and years and years ago. We've gone through now 50 different cohorts, and so early on in the whole process. But they have a co-working place at right in the middle of Austin at 183 Mopac. Actually, three of the major five roads that intersect within a few hundred feet of where I am sitting. And thank you to them for making it possible, for supporting the studio. We have other vendors and sponsors that we'll be hearing from, but they always get the first and foremost just because of what they do for the community. If you need anything, though, if you need a point of presence for your venture, make sure you let us know because part of what we'll do is we will make it a point to get you special deals about this. You can go to the URL that's listed there, techrange.com/duoworks, but if there's something specific, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have some open positions. I want to make sure that we find a marketing manager. Right now, for the TechRanch Venture Connections business, we have a marketing manager who's based out of Mexico City that I absolutely phenomenally love. Her name is Paloma, and she's doing amazing things for that organization. I'm a partner in that company. It's one of the Tech Ranch companies, one of the four Tech Ranch companies. And I want to duplicate her. About 20 hours a week, she speaks Spanish and English. She does amazing jobs on her newsletters and social media. Looking for that position. This position will be announced on our techranch.com/careers site. I don't think it's been updated yet, but I would love, 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 love to find someone to provide that role. And really, if I could just have a duplication of Paloma, but she's like, I'm already working long enough. The other thing that I'm actually interested in is I'm putting the word out to start looking for a business partner that'd like to join us as a venture partner who has a strong operations background. TechRanch has gotten to the point now, like we have 4 active venture bridges, one with Japan, one with Central America outside of Mexico. Actually, I already have one with Mexico, one with Hungary, and one with the Czech Republic. And the level of complexity for all the different things that are happening, I really need a strong ops lead so that I can continue to focus on the outside, and this person could focus on making sure the trains run on time. If you have suggestions, this is something that I'd like to have someone who's a peer as well as be involved in the core organization on the cap table of TechRanch. And then we're looking for venture coaches. We have a number of different programs. These are third parties that don't work for TechRanch, but work with TechRanch. Typically third parties that have entrepreneurial scar tissue that they want to donate. I didn't say mentor. And the whole idea behind this concept is mentors are people that get involved passively with startups. We have a coaching program on top of that we're expanding. and we now have more companies that are going through our coaching program than the core of our team can actually handle. So, looking for that. So last week we talked about the tragedy in Texas, the 19 kids, the 2 adults that got killed in Uvalde, Texas. And I did some follow-up research about things, and I want to make sure, and we might end up talking about this a little bit more during the program because of the technical difficulties. Um, because of the technical difficulties, we might expand this out. But a couple of interesting things have come across my desk that I wanted to share. One of them was that this month is Pride Month. What is Pride? Pride is a celebration for individuals that come from LGBTQ backgrounds, like gay or other identifying areas. But I'll focus on the gay community just from the standpoint of I have several buddies that grew up and dealt with a lot of discrimination around being gay. Now, I'm not gay, but I have gay friends, and I'm proud of them because they're some of the greatest people that I've ever met. So part of the thing that I just posted on my Facebook was for anyone who will have to deal with unsupportive family this Pride Month, congratulations, I'm your family now. Stay hydrated, eat your veggies, and support yourself. I'm proud of you. Why does this matter from the standpoint of what we just said? There's a research study that you see off to the right here, Adolescence, Masculinity, and Homophobia. It's an article, like a 16-page scientifically researched article that goes into examining a lot of the underlying dynamics and some of the different, most of the events that happened. The individuals who were young white males, that had different kind of guns, walked in and slaughtered a bunch of people. Typically, when the individuals researchers looked into their backgrounds, they were young males, they were white, and they had been at the harsh end of being discriminated against in a homophobic kind of way. I'm not saying that they were gay. I'm saying that they were discriminated against in a gay-leaning kind of way. The individual, it's my understanding that the individual that was the shooter this last week in Uvalde had posted some photos that, if you look at them, it looks like he's dressing up in an almost trans kind of way. And I don't know, like the research hasn't come out yet, but the photos show that, it's an effeminate kind of way, and perhaps this person was up against being discriminated against. It doesn't justify what happened, but part of the thing that I'm actually wanting to seek is to understand deeper about what is it that's happening, that we have this happening at such a large scale. I think it has something to do with easy access to weapons, but I don't think that that's enough. And as entrepreneurs, we're the culture leaders, right? That's what we do. We build culture. We build tools that then, because of the tools, they have a social effect that then ends up building culture, right? That's the effect of what comes out of this. And so it's important for us as a body of active people who can make things happen in short periods of time. It's important for us to see what we can do and what we can build and, to solve this problem. What I think it's now been, as of yesterday, there were 3 more shootings that happened yesterday alone. So the number of shootings that have happened in the States this year alone is in the order of 220, it looks like. And, generally speaking, as this quote says from Hannah Arendt, generally speaking, violence always arises out of impotence. It's the hope of those that have no power. I think that's what we're seeing, is acting out from people who don't feel that they have power, and so they're taking things into their own hands, and it's looking messy, and it's not working. There's another expression that I almost put on the slide today that says, there's an African proverb that says, if you do not if we don't, what's the word? I just forgot it. Oops. If we don't not indoctrinate our young men, they will burn down the village. If we don't initiate our young men, they will burn down the village. It's an interesting thought. And I think part of this is because of what we see here. And so I want to say to my friends and to others that I don't directly know concerning Pride Month, as a straight white male, I'm here to celebrate with you and here as an advocate for you. And let's actually take a bite out of this issue. So Maura was supposed to be here today. We're going to get her to come back. I apologize about the problems that happened. And what we're going to do is we'll make sure that we get her to come back and speak. And there were a couple different problems that happened in the um, pre meeting that they just made it easier for us to go ahead and pull the plug on that. That being said, I want to we have some interesting people here that I like having discussions with. Um, that we'll go ahead and have a conversation with and see what happens over the next little bit. I know that we didn't get the word out about Mora as early as we want. We're really trying to get the word out about these things 2 to 3 weeks before. And I am hoping that with the addition of the marketing manager, we can actually do a much better job about that, because I want to start getting more experts into this. But that being said, my favorite thing to do with the community, even if it's a small group, is to have a community conversation. Because usually there's this concept called the wisdom of the crowds that has been the one thing that has made my entrepreneurial career possible, because I've always learned that it's faster to learn from others than, or the formal way of saying it that I wrote in the 200 pages that will become my book at some point is there are people who focus on building knowledge stores, whether in their head or in books and stuff like that around them or knowledge around them. And there are people that focus on knowledge flows. In a world that's changing so fast, you really need to be able to tap into flows. And one of the ways of doing that is to tap into the wisdom of the crowd, because that way we can see things faster. Um, let's do this. I'm going to put one of my friends from 20 years ago on and get her to introduce her business. Kim and Randall, as well as Paulina. It'd be great to get you guys to actually speak up as well, and have you come back. And I know that Randall is a man of many words, so I'm sure he'll have something to say. But Amy, let's start with you. Amy, welcome. It's
Hi.
good to connect with you. You were just telling, so I know Amy back from a program that I did, that I took like 20 years ago, called LifeSpring, like a change your brain, change your life kind of thing. She went through it. I went through it. We all went through it. Amy, what are you up to? What'd you just win? Tell us about your venture.
Okay. Well, my little family and I, my kids and I, several years ago started talking about building a family farm. Um, just a little background on that. Two of the kids, I'm talking about my daughter and her partner, lived in Gallup, New Mexico. And my daughter worked directly with indigenous people. She worked with school gardens, community gardens, senior gardens, and she did education on food access and basically just teaching kids and others how to grow their own food. And but while they were there, she and her partner Matt started developing relationships with indigenous farmers and learned a whole lot about how to restore nutrients to the soil, how to make soil biologically complete, and the importance of that in not only the nutrition of the food, the health of the garden overall, but it extending on out from that, even to what we can do as individuals to affect climate change. Because if we heal our soil, then that changes the entire game. So, the long term aspect of our business is not only healing the soil around where we are and building a food forest slash permaculture garden where we are, but also helping others to do the same. And then we, even on out from that, intend to kind of bring like an agritourism aspect to that, where people could come and stay on the farm and come walk through some little meandering paths and pick their food that they want to cook at their little cabin that night. So that's kind of the long term. In the meantime, while that takes kind of a long time to happen, because it just, you don't heal the soil and build a food forest in a year. That just doesn't happen. It takes time. So in the meantime, we decided we needed to find some things to be able to make some money while we are working on all of that. So a couple of the things that we started doing was we started growing what's called microgreens. I don't know if you know anything about what that is, but they're basically just little baby plants. A lot of people call them sprouts, but they're technically not sprouts, because these grow in soil in trays, and we have a climate controlled environment where we grow them. So we can grow them year round. And then we started making what's called fire cider. And this is also something that the kids learned about from the indigenous people, the Navajos in New Mexico. And it's kind of a health tonic. It has a whole bunch of super nutritious ingredients in it, and I could list them. But anyway, between those two products that we grow slash make right now, and selling those to our local farmers market, to our regular customers, we have them in a couple of stores, and we also sell to some restaurants. We have more, the problem is we have more customers and more demand than we have space for right now. So that's the problem. And we are working on a solution for that. And the issue is right now, we just need more indoor space. We have the opportunity right now to purchase a 16 by 40 kind of a portable building. Is a portable building, and it's an exceptional deal. It's really super cheap for what it is, and get that moved onto our property right next to where we live. And then so purchase that, outfit it inside so that we can grow more microgreens, make more fire cider, and then meet the growing quickly demand that we have for these products, while we also build our farm and help others do the same. There you go. That's the short little pitch. What we won the other night was we went to the very first ever in our town. I live in a small town, Mineral Wells, Texas. So I'm about like 4-ish hours north of Austin, 4.5 hours north of Austin, straight up 281. In our small town, our town is booming right now. Like nothing. I've lived in this town for 54 years, never experienced what we're experiencing right now. So we had our very first ever, they called it a big pitch night, where a whole bunch of businesses came out, a bunch of investors, just interested citizens, Chamber of Commerce, and a company called Small Town Startup that mentors, there's that word, businesses, and helps them get off the ground, expand, or meet their needs, whatever those things are. So we pitched our business. We didn't even know about it until the night before. We had no plan. We had no anything, but we know a lot about what we're doing, and we're exceptionally passionate. So when we got up and we pitched our business, we were one of the 2 businesses that were chosen as the award winners that night. So they gave us a little check. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a little check. And then a month of mentorship with them, with this small town startup. And so that's what we won the other night.
That's cool. Congratulations on that. That's real
Thanks.
exciting. Um, Real exciting that you actually made that that you got to do that. I'm always I don't know. I was going to say I'm proud because Amy was one of my first. What do you call it when a coach has players, right? So I was her coach,
Yep.
and she was one of our players in the program we did together in Dallas in 2002, 2003.
Yep.
So it's cool to see, and I'm convinced that entrepreneurship like that is going to change the world for the better. So
Yep.
that's great. And in fact, it reminds me of different things. There's a lot of advancement on these local farming kind of organizations as we kind of shift the paradigm back to
It is
local.
becoming a really, really big deal, especially interestingly amongst young people. So that's one of the most exciting parts is that it's really young people are very, very interested in building farms, homesteading, and especially regenerative with using regenerative agriculture practices or permaculture principles um, to restore health to the soil.
Is there anything you need to actually drive things forward that could be helpful for you?
Honestly, yes, we do. We seriously don't. As far as the business side of this goes, we are just kind of flapping in the wind because none of us really know exactly what we're doing on the business side of it. We just keep moving forward and just um, we have probably some things that we could use technology wise. We also, I mean, obviously, we are looking for a way to get some capital to be able to purchase this building and put the infrastructure in to be able to expand our operation. Obviously, that's a given.
How much capital?
Well, this is probably another need. I mean, we don't even really have an on paper business plan. We literally just started. This is one of those, we are one of those people that we just started doing it and didn't really stop long enough to even put a plan. We've talked a lot. We've had a lot of meetings. We have a lot of notes, but we don't have a structured business plan, nor do we even really exactly know what that looks like or is. So I mean, you can look at me and assume I'm a toddler when it comes to business. Okay.
That's cool. Well, what I'll do is I'll ask Jello to give you access to some of our programming, our venture essentials, so that you can actually tear into that. So that's cool to
Okay.
hear. I'm
Fantastic.
excited to see. I'm excited to see what you guys are up to. So do this. Keep us in the loop, and if you get a chance, send to me and Jello, my assistant. Send to us this much text about what happened. We're down a marketing person right now, so we're in the process of bringing it out back, but we can get you more exposure. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, how do they reach you?
Well, we have our email. It obviously is Rocky Hill Farms MW, as in our town, Mineral Wells, MW at gmail.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. Rocky Hill Farms is the name of our company.
Got it. If you in the chat session right after, we'll put someone else on the hot seat, but in the chat session, if you text that to Jello, he'll put it on the show notes for today. So
Yep. So,
cool. Kim, yeah, you had something you were texting a while ago. Go right ahead.
yeah. So Amy, in a diversion in my background, I actually have I'm looking at a unused aquaponic setup right outside my place here in Austin. There's a guy, Rob Nash, that runs a thing called Austin Aquaponics. Until my son, I thought I was going to get into the small farming myself with aquaponic, but there's a group. he runs Austin Aquaponics. He does classes on commercial aquaponics and also has connections to sustainability. There's another guy, I don't know these guys, I worked with them in 2015. A guy, Max Myers, out of NorCal Permaculture. And there are several other places here. And there's a Texas or TOGFRA, Texas Organic Farmers Association, which has resources and other things to get you going. Like I say, as you know, my son was involved in working and had a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, but that turned out to be a full-time artist rather than growing produce. And so, but those are some potential resources to look for to help you define the business plan. Rob actually has a course where at one point he used to give you an entire commercial marketing plan, and he had other resources in terms of good greenhouses, things like that. But good luck. It's a very valuable thing, and my parents came from the farming, and it's the permaculture and sustainability can be very effective, particularly as we're having less of that thing we know of as water being available to grow stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did you say Rob's name was? Rob who?
Rob Nash, and I put it in the chat. His website is austinaquaponics.com.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you. One other thing about what we did in the process of building our business, we also, with a group of other local people in Mineral Wells, formed a nonprofit, and this all at the same time, and where we are building a community garden, and we host a farmers market in the space where the community garden is. So we kind of created a place to be able to sell our products at the same time as we were growing our business to be able to make the products. So that's one other aspect of something we did this last year.
That's excellent. Well, we on one of the board of advisor members of for Tech Ranch is one of the world's top vertical farming experts, Dr. Joel Coelho, based out of University of Arizona in Tucson. If there's, at some point, if we want to pull him back in, we should do that as well, because he's got a lot of insight about this stuff too. Although this Rob Nash guy, based on his website, looks really interesting. We'll have to get him to talk to us as well, because farming, it's coming back.
Yeah,
it's cool to see.
It is. We're all about local food access right now. Our food traveling less miles to get to us.
Yeah, and more control, less crap on it and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, there's a couple of people that I want to hear from, just because they always have something to say. Now, typically at this point, David put this on, but I'm gonna ask Randy. Randy's got something to say about something. It's always interesting. Usually, he and I would be sitting there with tequila back and forth, and as he pontificates about something. But Randy, tell us what's happening in your world.
It's not hot anymore.
All right, wait, are you in Mexico right now?
Yeah, I'm in Guanajuato at the house.
Randy just bought a house in Guanajuato, Mexico, and lives here in Austin as well.
David.
It's like
I'm now kind of only part gringo.
Yeah. Well, ¿Cómo estás tú español? How is your Spanish going?
Google Translate's an awesome app.
That's cool. Well,
everything goes really slow. But you'll be pleased to know that the majority of my food comes from about 3 blocks away from people sitting on the sidewalk that sell it. I don't know where they get it. They might go to Costco in Leon and get it. But I feel like I'm buying fresh stuff.
Yeah, especially the Bahia region that you're in. Yeah, it's got like very, very, very nice food.
Yeah,
very.
There's a lot of good food. So no, just
let's focus on one thing then. The house is there. All the pictures look great. Tell me about the guest room. Let's focus on the most important stuff.
Well, we're a little over 50% done painting the interior.
Yeah.
My wife in Austin has managed to fill up the garage with furniture over the last month. So apparently I'm going to be on the hunt for a trailer and outfit the guest rooms with furniture because she's been out buying. She couldn't wait. So I would say probably by the end of Cervantino and in October, which Cervantino is a big festival here. We should have accommodations that will be more than the air mattress that's in that bedroom right now.
Yeah. Well, entrepreneurs, a lot of times, I for one can sleep on an air mattress.
Oh, well, then come on down next week, dude.
Yes, sir. No, right now I'm pretty much convinced that I'm going to spend August outside of the country. So possibly in Mexico. That's most likely.
You're welcome to come down. I probably won't be here in August, but that doesn't mean that I can't get you access to our highly automated home.
That sounds good.
All
That
you need
sounds
is a smartphone, and you can get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice. We're renovating and building out, and just making it our own, right? Not changing anything dramatic. The dramatic part will come when we build the terrazzo on the roof, and hopefully that will start this fall. But it's great. I've been meeting some of the business people. I actually need to reach out to Juan and tell him that I'm now here regularly, so that maybe him and I can have a cafe or some tequila. I do have a little tequila.
For the people that don't know how to translate what I mean, since there would be a handful of people that actually hear this, part of what's happening is so Randy's been an angel investor for many years. He's been a successful entrepreneur, starting in the wireless space for many years. And part of what we're doing as we build this network of entrepreneurs around the world to work with each other. I had met with several people in the state government in the state of Guanajuato in Mexico, which for those of y'all that don't know Mexico, that's one of the 32 states. It's actually it's where the Mexican Revolution began. A lot of people think that happened in one of the big cities, but actually no, it happened on what's sometimes considered the countryside, but it's a very innovative part of Mexico. It happens to also be where a lot of the manufacturing, like I think there's a BMW plant there as an example, and there's
that's just
one time.
San Luis, yeah.
Yeah, up in San Luis.
San Luis, yeah.
There's a GM factory about maybe 15 miles from my house in Celaya. And then just past there on the other side of Celaya, Celaya's a small town. On one side is a GM factory, and on the other side of town is a huge VW factory. I know the GM factory must be busting their butt, because all I see every time I'm driving to Leon is it's just lines of trucks with pickup trucks loaded on them. I assume they're headed to America. I don't know, but I'm assuming they are.
Yeah. Well, and this is the state that President Fox of Mexico, the former President Fox of Mexico, his original state where he was a guy driving Pepsi, or I always forget if it was Pepsi or Coke. He was a top level executive, had a ranch there. His presidential library is there in that state as well. Gotten to visit him several times there. So interesting place. At some point we're gonna have to do more stuff down there. I really like that part of the world, and it's one of my favorite parts of Mexico. David Potes, since you're here, you always like to put you on the spot. And then it looks like your video hung, or maybe it's mine. That sucks. Oh well. Well, maybe I won't put you on the spot. And in a second, I'll put you on the spot. Randy, anything else that we should say, like about? It doesn't have to be about Mexico, but anything that you're looking for, like from a standpoint of the ventures that are there, in Guanajuato.
Right now down here, I'm kind of getting my feet wet. There's a lot of activity around the university here. University of Guanajuato. And, you know, you and I have talked about this. I mean, I just see a lot of similarities between here and Austin. But no, in terms of business, you know, things are going fine at MI7. There's a lot going on in Austin right now. It almost, I don't know how to describe it other than it kind of feels like people are like coming off of this long vacation. And now everybody's going, well, you know, we probably should go back to work at some point. And, you know, money would be nice. And it seems like it's creating a lot of lift around the city right now.
Yeah, definitely. I see it. It's been interesting to see that you can tell that people still don't know yet how to socialize again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
it's like we all need to go back to social skills class or something, right?
Yeah, no. We're talking about elementary school. We're not talking about middle school socialization level. We're talking about elementary school. You see it in a lot of the videos on Facebook where someone freaks out on an airplane because they don't know how to actually act like do some adulting or something like that.
Right.
So
you see it in networking events around Austin. Before I came down here in May, when I was doing a few of them around town, it's like people are not really sure. So do I shake hands? Am I supposed to fist bump you right now? Or do I stand 6 feet away and say hi? What is the social rule of just, hey, it's good to see you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or if someone's coughing in the corner, what does that mean? Do I have to? Do I have to isolate?
It's kind of interesting to see the development of society trying to get over a pandemic. And I mean, you know, the last knowledge that we have of that is what, 110, 115 years ago. And I guess we just are trying to figure out how to dig ourselves out, come back into society.
Right.
It's really interesting. Right. It's interesting that y'all are talking about that, because coming from where I live, it's not like that at all. Like, it hasn't been like that. I mean, I'm a flight attendant for Southwest. That's my actual like pay-in job. So that I see in the cities, of course, I see on the airplane and things. Right. But where I live, it is not at all like what you're talking about. There is.
How is it like? Like what is it like?
There is no awkwardness whatsoever, because we have been doing most everything kind of back to business, back, you know, normal for a long time here already. I mean, it was a very short stint of people not doing things around here. And then the next thing you know, everybody's out and about. And, you know, those of us that feel the way I feel about things, we're still trying to, you know, mask and stay socially distant. And it is next to impossible to do that. It was next to impossible to do that here because nobody was doing it. It just didn't happen. And so as soon as businesses were allowed to start opening again, it was just like game on. And it was not like a slow trickling effect, nothing. It was just bam, back to business. And people were everywhere. So it's very different in rural towns, just saying.
Well, and I could see that. I mean, you know, and I think I'm just more speaking in terms of like big cities like Austin or in Mexico, they're going through a really weird period right now. And so it's kind of weird to watch them go through it. Masking and all sorts of bizarre behaviors have been common now for a couple of years. The one that always got me was every time you go into a store, there's a little mat in the front of the store filled with bleach.
Oh yeah.
And you have to step on the mat. And the goal wasn't for you to not get COVID. The goal was for you to not bring it into the store. They didn't give a shit about you. They just didn't want you to share. And now all the mats are still there. There's just no bleach in them. And so you walk in the store and people are stepping over them and around them. And it's like, so we haven't really figured out the, you know, okay, are we done? Have we stopped? Can I now, you know, And like if you go in an OXXO, they require a mask, but if you go into some little tienda owned by a mom and pop, they don't care. And so it just, there's this imbalance because there's not been any type of like official, okay, we're done. Like David, I was just in Monterey a month ago and went out for dinner and nobody was wearing masks. And we went to one of those restaurants over there in
Yeah,
San
Nuevo Leon
Pedro.
is Nuevo Leon is
you know.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a little more Texas. Yeah.
But
What's it like there in Monterrey, Mexico, David? Give us an update.
Yeah, well, the governor, he's Samuel. He's I don't know. He's trying to make things go move forward, and to the economy to start moving, and so a lot of the COVID restrictions have been gone. Masks are not they're not forced. I mean, you can use it or not. A lot of people are not using. There's still a lot of people using it. But then again, there were a lot of stuff like Randy was talking about. That mat. That's something that you still find in some stores, even though it was proven that it didn't work, and even though the government already said that they didn't need to use them. You can still find them, just old mats in the front of the stores, and people just go and step on the mats and
yeah, it's just
yeah. I mean,
it's like we're in the shoulder period, right? Like
yeah.
Or there it's one of those what is the term, Kevin? Yet when you start something with a bureaucracy and it's next to impossible to stop it after it's
Yeah,
done.
it's like even after the learning.
I mean, it took the FAA, thinking of Amy as a flight attendant, right? Took the FAA 25 years to realize that asking people if they were carrying an illegal item in their bag, that 99% of them lie and would say no, even if they were. And then they realized, but it doesn't really matter we ask because no one's going to tell us yes. Yeah, but it took, half a century or a quarter of a century for them to realize that and stop it, right? So I think it's a challenge for society. I think it's a challenge to figure out, how do you meet people again? How do you, if we go to high tech happy hour, how do we talk to each other?
Yeah,
It's interesting at this inflection point, tying this concept to the stuff I was trying to talk about on the follow up from last week, where we talked about the tragedy. The thing that I want us as a community of entrepreneurs to really focus on is this is our moment, right? The instability time is when entrepreneurs can actually quickly piece together culture, new business models, and new technology to drive that. I think it's really interesting to think about. And when I get caught up in the mechanics and the low-level bullshit of my own business, right? I forget that when we focus on this higher level kind of concepts, the culture, how is it that we actually drive this new kind of culture? We're at this interesting point where,
Sure.
Obviously the governments of the world, they're always going to move slow. Entrepreneurs should move fast and break things. I think Randy and I talked about that 6 weeks ago. We're like, don't even put your shoulder pads on. Just put your shoulder into doors and knock them down. Right. And this is the moment. This is where I want to see the community get a little bit more aggressive together about how we leverage that sort of stuff. I'm still looking for the right community software because it's obvious that we don't have the right pieces just yet. But I'm looking forward to that. By the way, in the back on LinkedIn, I'm actually paying attention to some of the stuff that just happened. We've got a couple different. William Roosevelt's talking about the different. He says GM, Honda, Mazda, Toyota, and Guanajuato, VM Motors as well, VW Motors as well. Maura Neville Thomas, she just said, "Hey, sorry I couldn't to join you today." She'll actually gladly do complimentary coaching call with everyone. I really want to do this. We'll probably end up doing something, since she doesn't publish a lot of her stuff. We'll probably do a private. I'll talk to her personally versus a lot of times I throw stuff onto Jello's shoulders to figure things out. I'm like, go figure it out. And sometimes I need to hold on to some of this sort of stuff. We'll have a program specifically for that, for those of you all that came in and then got bounced out as we detected the initial error on Zoom. Just to reiterate that, because I know some people are listening in on the stream because of the messages I'm getting on WhatsApp and in the LinkedIn stream. But we'll probably end up having a private session just based on what she said, and she said that she'd actually give us a little bit more insight and all that sort of stuff. But it's great to see the people that are following us on the live stream as well as
Kevin,
on
I have shit, I can't find it. I'll probably just send it to you and then you can share it with people later. But I actually have a map of central Mexico, not just the Bahia region, because it goes outside of that. I think it goes all the way to Guadalajara, but of all of the auto factories, which brands and when they open those factories. I have a map of that somewhere that I found.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because there's a ton of them. It's not like there's like 2 or 3. I mean, this is like the state of Michigan or something.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because a lot of certain governments are starting to pay attention to what TechRanch is up to. We have a lot of activity happening in the northern part of Mexico. 3 of the 4 bordering states between the U.S. and Mexico, we've got interesting interactions happening with. And then the Bahia region, which is kind of the stomach of Mexico, if you look at Mexico as kind of a person laying on the side in the stomach area, that's where Randy is. The thing that's interesting about that is, it's a very powerful manufacturing base. And as we look at both what the Trump administrations and the Biden administrations are doing on displacing dependence on Chinese manufacturing, moving it to other places, the real opportunity for Austin and Texas-based entrepreneurs or U.S.-based entrepreneurs is to tap into that. I was happily pleased when some of the different conversations that were going on. One of the things that happened is the UK government noticed the activities we were doing in northern Mexico, and then we're following up with us about that. Really interesting stuff, right? This whole idea about how to plug into different activities and take advantage of them. Using Austin as a stepping stone into Mexico, knowing that Mexico is benefiting from this major shift in trade policy away from China. And I'm not anti-Chinese, but I am very pro-Mexico. So excited to see that as well. That's one of the things.
I'd love to see more discussion and actually action around that. I think the whole nearshoring concept, which we've been talking about for 15, 20 years now, is right. Just, Mexico needs it. America needs it. I think, it's just amazing we can't seem to figure out how to, date more.
Yeah, I think there's been some historical, sometimes politicians, especially like as an example, the governor of this state of Texas, sometimes creates fear there about the little line in the sand between Texas and Mexico. And it really upsets me because, I know that my first customer in my first business all the way back to 94 was a bank in Mexico. And there's all these opportunities where we should be driving, Texas's number 1 trading partner is Mexico. Mexico's number 1 trading partner is Texas. We should extend this to the whole United States and all the rest of the Americas. Not just stop with Mexico, but we do have a cohort of right now we have a cohort of entrepreneurs that are working with us from El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Costa Rica as well. And so I'm thinking of them too as we pull them into this conversation. To really, in fact, that would actually be a really good session for us upcoming to focus on what's the opportunity between Mexico and Texas. And I noticed that since we have, like right now on LinkedIn, I think one of the guys who's following is a official from one of the states there. So yeah, we could definitely pull together some interesting people to speak about this and promote that even more. Randy, I'll make sure we follow up with you. Jello, make sure you capture this concept so I don't forget it, because I always forget after VO Weekly all the different concepts and stuff like that. That they're like, hey, no, that would be really fun to do, and we have the right people to invite to the conversation. So, and then we'll put David Potus on the spot because I just absolutely love doing it all the time.
No, I'm always
So,
ready.
I know. So today has been a little bit. Ex-official. William just posted on LinkedIn. He's an ex-official, now a startup co-founder. Welcome, welcome into welcome into the fold of the entrepreneurs. It's great to see. I think that everybody should have to be an entrepreneur for at least some period of their career, versus like if we really want to change the world for the better. If we can change the labor mentality to more of an owner mentality, it's funny. I can actually channel someone else that said, take the means of production into your own hands. Well, what that really should mean is not labor acting like labor, but no, everyone acting like entrepreneurs. Because then, if you really want to taste freedom, you have to actually be able to build your own job and not just go get a job. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. It's 11:59, and that means that I'm supposed to wrap this up. I want to apologize for today that we didn't get to have our regularly scheduled program. I really do appreciate. Maura Neville Thomas is a good friend, has been an instructor for the Tech Ranch, and we just had some technical difficulties. We're really trying to up the game about what we do with this this whole process that we're doing. I am now going to start paying more attention to what's happening behind the scenes in the LinkedIn, just because we are getting good engagement with that. Today was a little bit awkward just because we had the fits and stops, and there are different things happening. William, thank you for your comments. Pilar, thank you for joining us. Let's see, Maura, thank you for joining us. We'll go ahead and have other people that will plug in pretty quick on that. I do want to do a shout out really quick. So I'm on the board of advisors for something called, because of what Amy said earlier, this whole idea of the utilization of food and food production reminded me of an activity that's happening. I'll just share this on my screen. I am on the board of advisors for the Fruitful Commons, which is they have a fruit forest here, as well as they sponsor 80 different community gardens here in the Austin area. They are doing a fundraising process as well. We'll love to help Amy get her fundraising goals going as well. They're doing an event on June 16th from 5:30 to 8 at KFMA's studio. We'll post this URL into both the chat as well as into the show notes for today. If you can, join us for this event. I'm going to be at this event myself as a board of advisory member. But there's a lot of things that's happening, and it's great. Like one of the things that's really cool about the core food forest that they have is you can walk into. They took this. They took this one part of Austin Parks, which is just grass and not even well-watered grass, just like crappy grass that just was kind of dead. And they planted a bunch of trees, and over the last 5 years, it's become this really lush environment where you can walk in, reach up, grab something off the tree or off the plant or whatever, stick it in your mouth, and actually eat. It's interesting that there's a corresponding, this is an interesting thing. I think it's just by chance, but there's a homeless population that Austin's been seeing. And I'm not saying, I think that there's some stuff that needs to happen on helping the homeless. But the good thing about it is by just taking this land and doing something more productive with it, people are getting to eat, and people should eat, right? It's a kind of a fundamental thing. So this whole moving back to farming, I think, is a really important thing. We're going to talk about it more just because it's such a fundamental idea. Again, if you want to be free, you got to have access to food. Otherwise, there's difficulties there. I don't know if anyone else had anything else to say. Amy's information will be in the show notes. Jello will make sure to that. We are in the process of aggressively looking for this marketing manager. Since we had several people from Mexico represented on LinkedIn, my gut tells me, just like the person that I mentioned earlier, named Paloma, who's in Mexico City. She was in Querétaro and she's now living in Mexico City. We're probably going to duplicate someone like her. And so if you see anything, if you know of someone that you think would be good at that earlier stage in his or her career, Spanish and English, can do written English really well, but totally fine if Spanish is their primary language. Please do. Amy just said in the chat, look up Incredible Edibles from Togmorgan, UK, if you're interested in more information on the community garden food access. And so we'll get Jello to put that into the show notes for today as well. Okay, well, with that, thank you to our esteemed studio audience that actually make this always more interesting than me just waving my hands. If you'd like to get involved in Tech Ranch, we're about to update this URL so that it's also going to have a pathway into our community. And the first step into getting involved in the community is to be involved in our Facebook group. From there, you can get access as a community member for free into our Slack channels. Now, there are specialized Slack channels for people that come in as network members, which is $49 a month. It's on a sliding scale for other people in different other countries if you're taking advantage of this. There's over 6 pages of different offers that we have from vendors around the world for taking advantage of as an entrepreneur. And because there's some management about that, we do have to put a paywall about that. I wish we didn't have to do that, but people want to get paid for doing work. So take advantage of that. If you'd like to be one of our country managers, or in the case of Mexico, even more focused on state-by-state level because of the activities we have happening there, or state-by-state in the U.S. as well, list yourself as a country manager. We just got country managers for the country of Uzbekistan and a country manager for the country of Georgia. And, we'll hear from them sometime soon. I'm going to be going to Uzbekistan around the September timeframe. I'm actually looking forward to that. More details as that happens. But if you have your corner of the world and you want to plug in, please make sure that you sign up here. Get on our newsletter, get on all the different things. All right, well, with that, we'll wrap up for today. It's always an honor to be connected to a group of entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values. Let's go change the world. Let's go change the world for the better together. Through working together, we can actually make things happen. And let's support each other through that process. With that, see you guys later.